Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective podcast.
Welcome to the Chairman's Perspective. I'm your host, Mark Billingsley, Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. My hope is that the Chairman's Perspective provides useful information about your Shelby County government and those organizations and people that make a difference. On today's show, we have Alise Davis, Chairman of the Board of Room in the Inn, a local nonprofit organization that is committed to caring for our homeless in our community. You don't want to miss any part of this show. We'll be right back on the Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Inside 901.
Inside 901. I am your host, Lieutenant Anthony Buckner. Here on Inside 901, we will unpack the vision of Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner and the various divisions of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
We have a racial profiling policy at the Sheriff's Office. We are here to it. We expect our officers to adhere to it.
Uniform patrol that provide police services to unincorporated Shelby County.
Inside 901.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Welcome, Alise Davis, Chairman of the Board and Room in the Inn, a local nonprofit group of volunteers that are caring for the homeless in our community. Thank you so much for making the time today.
I'm thrilled to be here.
We are really, really happy for you to be here. I consider you a dear friend that is doing really powerful work for the homeless in our community. Alise, tell me about your journey that led you to Room in the Inn.
Well, it's a funny story because about 7 years ago, I really was feeling led to be outside of my comfort zone. I felt as though God was telling me that I wasn't serving the people I needed to be serving. And so through a variety of coincidences and things that God led into my path, I found myself one night, February 2013, feeding a group of homeless individuals at Colonial Cumberland Church. And once I was there, I felt it all fall into place. It clicked, and I knew that was where I was supposed to be.
So right now you're serving as Chairman of the Board of Room in the Inn, a local nonprofit organization.
Yes.
Tell me about the clients that you serve.
We serve everyone. We have men, women, children. Our youngest guest has been 12 days old, and our oldest guest has been in her 70s. We accept everyone, a very low barrier situation. We accept everyone regardless of race, creed, gender, ethnicity. There's no barrier other than being able to be fit in community with other people to stay with Room in the Inn. There is no charge.
You know, I've had the great opportunity after meeting you to volunteer at Room at the Inn. And every time I meet a different group of homeless individuals, it's a totally different experience.
Absolutely.
Just in last week, I brought my daughter and some friends to come and volunteer. And I met so many different people, some that absolutely had no housing. I met some that were living out of vehicles. I also met one homeless person that actually was had a job, but was not making enough money to actually have an apartment or anything, that was trying to get housing services from a nonprofit. What does homelessness look like right now in Memphis and Shelby County?
You name it. It's a variety of reasons. People fall through the cracks of the support system for any number of things. There could be a catastrophic illness. There could be a loss of a loved one. You could suffer mental depression. You could lose a job. You could just have family members that have not been supportive, and you found yourself out on the streets. Of course, addiction and mental illness exist. It's just a part of the fabric of our society. But if you speak to one of our guests, every person has their own unique individual story.
You know, around the holidays, a lot of people, a lot of organizations and churches reach out to the homeless during the holidays. It gets cold. It's pretty obvious. But Room at the Inn, you provide services how long?
So we do our emergency winter program, which begins on November 1st and it goes through March 31st. But we also found over the years that there's a significant need for women in Shelby County. There are not nearly enough shelter beds. And so we've also introduced the Women's Summer Shelter Program, which runs May 1st through the end of September. And so we have congregations take in only women during the summer to keep them out of the heat and safe.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network. Do you feel like homelessness is growing in Memphis? Have you seen it plateau? Or is it going down?
It's a very hard question to answer because, as you well know, they do a point-in-time count every January.
Right.
And that's the official count of the homeless people in Shelby County. But there's so much that's unknown. According to that count, I believe it's around 1,800 homeless individuals. I'm probably off on that number. I know the new numbers are coming out. But according to Shelby County school systems, they have over 1,900 children that are considered homeless. So that's couch surfing, living in cars, different situations where they're not in a permanent supportive home environment. So it's a hard question to answer. I don't know if it's going up or going down, but I do know that as long as we've been serving and as long as we've had hosting partners that have been adding to our capacity, we still see the need outstrip what we can provide.
How many people did you serve last year?
9,412.
That is absolutely unbelievable.
So let me break that down. So we were able to provide 9,412 warm, safe beds and meals, and that represented 655 different individuals, including men, women, and children. That was 278 nights of shelter, and there are 55 communities of faith that partner with us.
That is unbelievable. So you've got 55 churches and groups of faith that are being a part of this.
Right. So the 55, there are some churches,
Sure.
most churches, but we also have 3 nonprofits and 1 institution of higher learning that's hosting for us.
So how does that work if you're a church and you're partnering with Room at the Inn?
So it's a simple process on the church's side. Everyone is gathered downtown at 212 North 2nd Street. That's where our building is and where we can provide services. In the evenings, guests are welcomed in. Doors open at 4:30, and then they're organized into small community groups. So 12 to 15 individuals. A church or other hosting partner would provide transportation. They'll come downtown, pick up their group, take them back to their place of worship or another site that shares space. They provide a meal, warm, safe place to sleep. Some places have a clothes closet, some have showers, some have laundry facilities. Whatever they have that they're able to give, there's no formula that says you have to do something other than provide the transportation, provide a meal, and provide a warm, safe place to sleep.
So all these churches, all these volunteers, they're not being paid anything. They are literally giving their time, their resources, their money to provide shelter and comfort and a word of hope for these individuals.
100%, yes.
To volunteer, I've seen every age, from teenagers helping to senior citizens. So this is an opportunity for anybody who wants to get involved and lend a kind word or make a bed or pass a plate to a homeless individual.
Absolutely. There are so many ways to plug in. I can be as simple as a child coming in and helping set the dinner table. It could be someone who doesn't feel comfortable driving at night, but they could come pick up laundry and be a laundry angel to do the linens at their home at their own pace. There could be individuals that want to volunteer during the day, so they're welcome to come downtown to our building there and offer services for day hospitality. You name it, there's a place to plug in. We've had 90-year-old people come and volunteer to be overnight shepherds with us.
Very good. Well, let's take a 30-second break. We'll be right back on the Chairman's Perspective with Alise Davis, Chairman of the Board of Room at the Inn.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, I'm Williams Brack, co-host of Grind Set. The insight you gain from us and our guests will motivate you to take the leap into entrepreneurship. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast provider.
Grind Set on the KUDZUKIAN Network. KUDZUKIAN!
I'm Mark Billingsley, host of the Chairman's Perspective and the current chairman of your Shelby County Board of Commissioners. And in today's studio, we have a great friend, Alise Davis, chairman of the board of Room in the Inn, visiting with us, talking about the community's homelessness. Alise, this year is a really special year for Room at the Inn. It's hard to believe, but Room in the Inn is 10 years old, serving the homeless. Tell us about where Room at the Inn has come from and where your hopes are for the next decade.
Sure. So fall of 2009 was when Colonial Cumberland Presbyterian Church opened their doors for the first time. So starting with one congregation that had limited resources and one night a week, slowly other congregations have gotten on board following the model of Room in the Inn Nashville, and it has grown from that one tiny congregation to now 55 hosting partners that are able to host 7 nights a week. So it's really come a long way. We're so excited, and we see great things ahead in the future.
So for those people familiar with Shelby County and Memphis, just point out the different geographic areas where you've got placement. I live in Germantown. There's actually a Room at the Inn location at Germantown United Methodist Church. What are some of the other locations?
So Colonial Cumberland Presbyterian, which was that first congregation, they're also a share site. They're located at Quince and Perkins. And so they open their doors to other congregations that may not be able to host on their own campus to come there. The Ozanam Center is another share site that has, I believe that there are 7 or 8 churches hosting at the Ozanam Center. Germantown United Methodist, we have a building dedicated to this ministry called The Cottage, and there are 9 congregations currently hosting out of that building. And then everyone else is on their own campus. So Memphis Theological Seminary is a host site. They open their doors. There's a church in Millington. There's a church in South Memphis. It's all the way out in Collierville. Heart Song is hosting there. So there's a myriad of places. Your geographic location should not determine whether or not you can get involved. There's a place for you. So literally, Room in the Inn is serving homeless individuals throughout all of Shelby County based on your description. What do you want to see in the next 10 years? I know you don't have the services that you need. Quite frankly, I think it's a miracle every year for the amount of people you serve with all volunteers, limited resources. What are the hopes for the future? The sky's the limit. We have big dreams and big vision. And with collaborative partners here in the county that are serving the same population we're serving, I really see a great momentum going forward. There's a huge need to serve women. There's a huge need to serve families. Our focus is there now. Those will be the first places where we're trying to grow. There is a non-existent place for homeless individuals to have medical respite. So medically fragile individuals need a place to rest and recuperate and not be subject to being on the street. We would love to serve that population. And there's also a need for supportive housing, permanent supportive housing, so that people can transition out of homelessness and have a community that gathers around them and helps them move into being a productive part of society again. We would love to be any part of that as well.
Today, you're listening to the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network. We're excited to have Alise Davis with us, Chairman of the Board of Room in the Inn, who's doing a lot of really good work with many, many volunteers who are giving of their time and resources. What does a typical visit look like when a homeless individual goes into one of the centers that we've talked about? What is their experience from the moment they walk in the door? What happens during that experience?
Typically, a group of volunteers is already there, ready to welcome them. It's a warm place where food is cooked and it smells good. They're able to come in and then put their belongings down where they're going to sleep that night, so they'll have an opportunity to set things down. One of the first things we see is that they head to the restrooms because there really aren't very many public restroom facilities, right. And so they'll do that and wash hands, and then they gather around a table. And so our guests are never served in a line. There's never a soup line. They're always served restaurant style at Room in the Inn. So what happens is that they have food, and then volunteers fix their own plates, and they come sit down, and there is a fellowship and a community where they break bread together, and that's when you really make a connection, because then you really share something when you're eating a meal together. After a meal, there's a time of fellowship. If a facility has showers, that's when Our guests will have an opportunity to get cleaned up. In the meantime, there's games. There could be movie nights. There could be any number of things that are happening, entertainment. But then they always have the ability to go lay down and sleep, and then get up, have a hot breakfast in the morning before they come back downtown.
You're listening to the Chairman's Perspective. We're talking to Alise Davis, who's the leader of Room in the Inn today. In next segment, we're going to talk about a really, really exciting fundraiser coming up. But I've heard this, we only have 2 minutes left in this segment, but I heard recently you actually had a birth related to Room in the Inn?
Yes. So Room in the Inn, the name, as you might have already guessed, is connected to the birth story of Jesus in the Bible. And earlier this month, one of our guests was staying with St. Michael's Catholic Church and happened to go into labor while she was with us at Room in the Inn. Contractions 4 minutes apart. So they called the paramedics. She was transported to Regional 1, where at midnight she gave birth to a beautiful baby girl, Mariah, and both mother and baby were doing just fine.
Absolutely amazing. I think you see everything you could ever imagine. And one thing that has blown me away is really the grace, I would call it grace, the grace of the homeless individuals that I've met at Room in the Inn, the grace that your volunteers give to these individuals. And you talked about it, sitting down at dinner, sharing the other night when I came, we shared a bowl of stew and some bread and just having that experience to talk about the struggles. I talked with one young homeless individual who was actually working, but was really struggling to make enough money to get an apartment. And there was another nonprofit that was trying to make that happen. Another individual I met that same night was living out of a vehicle. Like everybody, and I know it troubles you having children, to see the homeless that do have children and are trying to make it through. Again, we're excited that Alise Davis is with us today. We're going to take a quick break on the Chairman's Perspective, and we're going to be back and talk about a really exciting fundraiser coming up. I think it's going to be the first formal big-time fundraiser with a national artist that's going to support Room in the Inn. Everybody's invited. We're going to talk about that more on the Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Jazz, America's own original musical art form. When did it start? Who were and are some of the major players? How do you distinguish what kind of jazz you're listening to? We talk about the great and lesser-known artists, songs and tunes, the instruments, and the social impact jazz has had on world culture since its beginning at the start of the 20th century.
Riffin' on jazz on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Hey, this is Alise Davis, Chair of the Board at Room in the Inn, and if you want to stay in the know with all things Shelby County, then check out the Chairman's Perspective with your chairman, Mark Billingsley, by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app.
We are back on the Chairman's Perspective, and today we're talking with Alise Davis, Chairman of the Board of Room in the Inn, a local nonprofit where volunteers are actively serving the homeless. Alise, I am unbelievably excited about this first fundraiser, Room at the Inn. I don't know how you got him, but you've got Grammy Award winner Kirk Whalum, who's going to be supporting Room at the Inn. Tell us about the upcoming event.
We are over the moon. We are so excited. Kirk has been a big supporter of ours for a long time. We've talked about this event for years, and it has finally come to fruition. So on December 20th, that's a Friday night, Kirk Whalum is ending his 8th annual Christmas tour, which is A Gospel According to Jazz at Crosstown Theater. So this is a beautiful facility. It's going to be on the Kimmons Wilson stage. It seats about 400, I believe, and tickets are available on eventbrite.com. He's coming in with his opening acts that are with him, and all the proceeds that night, he has been so generous, the proceeds that night go to benefit Room in the Inn.
So people on the tour with Kirk Whalum, who's also a Grammy Award winner, Kirk Whalum, I think everybody in town knows Kirk Whalum, but with him is going to be John Stoddard, Kevin Whalum, along with this year's featured guest vocalist Mesa and guitarist Adam Hawley. So tell us about what that event will look like. I understand the doors open at 7 o'clock. It's going to be an unbelievable concert starting at 8 o'clock. And again, I think it's fabulous that you chose the Crosstown Theater on the Kimmons Wilson stage. It's easy to park at Crosstown. I think most people understand where Crosstown is. But what will that experience be like when you walk in?
Well, we're going to have, most importantly, ways to thank our sponsors. So we're going to have some signage there in the lobby. We've got some fantastic sponsors already. So there'll be, that will be there. We should have a cash bar area. People will be able to come in and mingle and visit with one another, and then we'll have the seating on the stage with the concert starting. I'd love to give a shout out to some of our sponsors.
Go right ahead, please.
Well, Mark, first of all, I have to thank you. You've just been an unbelievable supporter. So
you're very welcome.
One of our presenting sponsors is Mark Billingsley. He's at our star level, which is a $10,000 sponsor. And along with him is Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. And I have to say a huge thank you to William Kinley and Methodist Le Bonheur Healthcare. They have been with us from nearly the beginning. They've been in-kind donors for many years, providing blankets and other items, even sending their own employees as volunteers. And now they're coming alongside us financially as a sponsor. So we're very thankful for that. Other sponsors that I'd like to highlight, Orion Federal Credit Union. Yes, they're fantastic. They're coming alongside us. Also, Germantown Cosmetic and Family Dentistry.
Nice.
So we have plenty of room. If you would like to come alongside us and make this event just a spectacular evening, we would love to get you added.
Well, a special shout out to Methodist Le Bonheur for sponsoring this first event. I can speak on behalf of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners. We are happy to support this with our Community Enhancement Grant. So much of the services that you're providing to the homeless, quite frankly, government couldn't do. And I know our government employees at Shelby County do a great job day in, day out. But the work that Room at the Inn does for the homeless, quite frankly, couldn't be really done by government. There's so many amazing nonprofits in this community that are making a difference, and Room at the Inn is making that difference. You're listening to the KUDZUKIAN Network, and today you're on the Chairman's Perspective. We're talking about Room in the Inn. We're talking about this unbelievable fundraiser coming up. I think the timing is great. Friday night, December 20th, right before Christmas, Grammy Award winner Kirk Whalum, his 8th annual A Gospel According to Jazz. I love jazz music. I think a lot of people do, especially at the holidays. I assume a pretty diverse audience of people that support Room at the Inn, other people that'll probably be coming across town because it's a great gathering place on Friday night. How do you get tickets?
You get tickets at eventbrite.com. All you'll have to do is search for Kirk Whalum. We also have links on all of our social media. We have, you could, on Facebook, search for Room in the Inn Memphis, and you'll find a link there. We're also on Instagram, RITI Memphis there. And then you can visit our website, which is ritimemphis.org.
And do you have a phone number?
Yes. You can call Room in the Inn at 901-395-3329.
Why don't you repeat that one more time for folks?
Sure. 901-395-3329.
Very good. I tell you, this is a first-time fundraiser for Room at the Inn. I've seen where the money goes. It'll go straight into services for the homeless, thanks to Room at the Inn. What are some other things that people can volunteer to for Room in the Inn that you just need on a daily basis?
Well, first, I'd like to take this opportunity to say, if you can't make it to the concert, but you would like to financially partner with us, part of our 10-year celebration is to do a monthly donor drive.
Oh, that's great.
Over the first 9 years, we hosted 733 nights, and we would love, in commemoration of that, to add 733 new monthly donors with a suggested donation level of $10 per month. It's super easy to do. All you have to do is text 10 years in, that would be 10, capital YRSINN, to 44321. If you text 10 years in to 44321, it'll automatically send you a link, and you can become a monthly donor or even a one-time donor. Other ways that you can get plugged in, Volunteer Odyssey. If you go to their website and you type in homelessness or room in the inn, you'll see opportunities to come help at our downtown location. Plug in there, visit our website. You can get you connected with any congregation that's hosting.
Well, you've already had great success with people that are interested in supporting a Gospel According to Jazz concert with Grammy Award winner Kirk Whalum. There's going to be a bunch of other artists at Crosstown Friday, December the 20th. Doors are opening at 7.
Yes.
Show starts at 8. Very affordable ticket right there in Midtown at the Crosstown Theater. I assume, I feel pretty confident that people really need to buy their tickets in advance.
I would think so. I've heard that his December 3rd show had already sold out.
Wow.
So I would think this is going to be a popular. There's 2 tiers of tickets.
Okay.
General admission near the front, $75, and then there's some other general admission seats farther back in the theater for $45. Very affordable. Well,
a special shout out to Grammy Award winner Kirk Whalum. This event is going to benefit Room in the Inn. It's their first major event. Thanks to Methodist Le Bonheur, thanks to the Shelby County Board of Commissioners Community Enhancement Grant. Alise, anything else?
A ton of things, but not enough today. So thank you so much for having me.
Well, very, very good. Well, Alise, you've provided a wealth of information about our homeless and the tremendous work at Room in the Inn. We've got a great event coming up on December the 20th. If you want to support that concert, we're going to be back on the Chairman's Perspective in just a moment.
The Chairman's Perspective on the KUDZUKIAN Network.
Inside 901.
Inside 901, I am your host, Lieutenant Anthony Buckner. Here on Inside 901, we will unpack the vision of Shelby County Sheriff Floyd Bonner and the various divisions of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
We have a racial profiling policy at the Sheriff's Office. We adhere to it. We expect our officers to adhere to it.
Uniform patrol that provide police services to unincorporated Shelby County.
Inside 901.
KUDZUKIAN!
Well, this has been a great show. Alise Davis, Chairman of the Board of Room in the Inn, thank you so much for coming. One thing we didn't talk about today, and if we just talk about it just briefly, we do have a number of homeless individuals on the street. What should we do when we're approached at an intersection or on the street when we're approached by someone who's homeless?
We would love for you to point them our way. We have day hospitality 3 days a week at our downtown facility. Again, that's located at 212 North 2nd Street. It's at the intersection of 2nd and Exchange. There's day hospitality Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday from 1 p.m. until 4 p.m. They're welcome. Anyone is welcome to come in at that time. That's also when they can pre-register for nights of shelter. And so that would be my number one recommendation.
So if you run into a homeless individual, they're seeking shelter or help, please refer them to Room in the Inn. Well, this has been a powerful show today. I hope this information gave you a better understanding of one local organization that's making a tremendous positive difference in Shelby County, caring for our homeless. Our Shelby County government is working day in and day out to address the challenges of homelessness in our community. But we can't do it alone. Organizations like Room in the Inn need our help, resources, and time. Please think about volunteering at Room in the Inn or share your resources, make a donation to Room at the Inn. I also want to send a very special thank you to all of our Shelby County employees and elected officials. They are truly some of our county's best public servants. We've had a great show today, and we continue to encourage you to continue to listen to the Chairman's Perspective and Commission in Action 2.0 by downloading the KUDZUKIAN app or by listening to your favorite podcast provider. Until next time, I'm Mark Billingsley, Chairman of the Shelby County Board of Commissioners, and you've been listening to the Chairman's Perspective, powered by the KUDZUKIAN Network. We'll see you next time.
The Chairman's Perspective Podcast. Executive producer, Shelby County Commission's Chairman, Mark Billingsley. Directed, produced, recorded, and distributed by KUDZUKIAN.